Does the Fed matter?
The Fed definitely matters. If the Fed is hawkish and is concerned about inflation reaccelerating and communicates that and interest rates rise, stocks would go down. So Fed definitely matters.
If we don't get a Fed cut this year, will that change your views and or the trajectory of ye old stock market, Tom?
Yes. I think if there's no cuts this year, the stock market has to reassess what it's thinking in terms of the trajectory of inflation, the probability of a soft landing, and of course, all these things would weigh on what would happen to multiples. So yes, it would absolutely make a difference.
Okay, so let's say we had 1 month of inflation, the PCE a little bit wacky. One of Torsten Slok at Apollo's arguments is that there are signs to him and his team that inflation may be either stickier or maybe even reinflating in some areas and not just owner's equivalent rent. What is your take on inflation right now, Tom?
I think the overarching reality is inflation is falling. You can look at it by the percentage components that are in deflation from their peak, or you can look at it, as you said, core services ex housing and auto insurance. Those are all basically at the Fed's target. There is something that does happen early in the year, which is there's that seasonality in January that doesn't get completely fixed. That's why January was a sort of positive surprise. And that's because a lot of companies raise prices on January, in the month of January, and it doesn't get captured.
Oh, so maybe it's kind of a calendar. Are you saying, Tom, that corporate greed is really the underlying cause of inflation?
Yes. I mean, if you think about companies raise prices either at the time of a renewal, but if it's a calendar year, which is a lot more convenient, especially because that's a calendar year end for a business, they'll actually raise prices in the month of January. And if they don't raise it on the exact same date every year, well, the seasonal adjustment will catch it on the wrong way. That's why I think January and February tend to have that high, what they call residual seasonality.
You know, Tom, people know you as the guy that got it right in 2023 when so many others, there was a couple of you out there, but that was pretty much it. You got it right. They kind of know you as the stock guy. But we think of you, Tom, not only as our good friend and a lovable human being, but as the original Bitcoin evangelist. I know last week you talked about 100,000 plus on Bitcoin, but I think people forget that like a decade ago, when like 6 drug dealers and a couple other people were the only ones using Bitcoin, you were out there saying that Bitcoin was, I think, at a couple thousand or a couple $100 back then, Tom. You were bullish a decade ago on Bitcoin. What did you see in this esoteric digital currency that others did not? How's that for a hard ball?
Yeah.
It's Friday,
well, Brian,
man. Let's be nice.
Yeah. Well, I think Bitcoin solves a lot of problems in the monetary system because it is a trustless blockchain and yet has never had a fraudulent entry. That's a prodigious accomplishment, especially given in that same, let's say, 14-year life, a traditional bank has 6% of all its transactions suspicious. And Bitcoin, in terms of its network value, has been pretty easy to model because it's based on how many wallets actually use it. That was really our early Bitcoin model, was using what you call Metcalfe's law, the idea that as you grow the number of users, the network utility grows. That still explains over 90% of the move of Bitcoin. And today, very few people, it's now in the millions, actually have a Bitcoin wallet. That number could grow into the hundreds of millions or even billions. And so that's why there's still upside from here.